So the first topic I want to talk about is that the first reactions for Kingdom Planet Days came out. Now I've been really excited for this movie. I love the previous Apes trilogy, and the trailers have looked fantastic for this. Like I think that previous Apes trilogy is one of the greatest trilogies of all time, and to me, it has one of the greatest story arcs for a lead character. Like Caesar, in my opinion, is one of the greatest lead characters of all time. So this movie has a lot to live up to. And the reactions are pretty positive. One of the reactions saying this is a roadie successor to that trilogy, which is good to hear because, like I said, this movie has a lot to live up to with how great that trilogy was. Now, these are first reactions, though, so a lot of first reactions tend to be positive, but this does make me more excited for the movie. Like, I'm always excited for the movie based on just the trailers. I love the idea of jumping forward into the future in this franchise where you're seeing new characters and how Caesar's legacy affected the apes going forward. So the trailers that look great, and this definitely makes me more excited for this movie. Hopefully, this lives up to it. Like to me, I don't need it to be better than that trilogy, but I hope I come out going like this was a good, great sequel to that trilogy. So this definitely makes me more excited for this movie. The next thing I want to talk about is that Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor in MCU, was saying how Thor: Love and Thunder basically turned Thor into a joke, which I agree personally. Like I love Thor Ragnarok. I thought Taika Waititi came in and did a great job of breathing life into the franchise after Thor: The Dark World, which I thought was mediocre. And I thought Thor Ragnarok had a great balance to its comedy and still having Thor be serious and badass. But in Thor: Love and Thunder, it just felt like they took the comedy way too far. Like I don't have a problem with comedy in a Thor movie. Like I love the first Thor movie. I love Thor Ragnarok. Both have comedy in those movies. Like there's versions of the character in the comics, like the Ultimate version, where you can have fun with the character. But it just like in Thor: Love and Thunder, it got so goofy and silly to the point where I didn't take the character serious in that movie anymore. Like I said, in Thor Ragnarok, he had fun with the character, but you still felt like he was a badass and serious the character. Even in Avengers Endgame, you have chubby Thor. Like the moment when Thor's talking to Hawk, and Hawk is saying Thanos, and Thor's like saying, "Don't mention that name," and you see him break down. That's an emotional moment. Or the moment he's talking to his mom in Avengers Endgame, or the moment at the end where he's he's standing next to Iron Man and Cap, and Thanos pops up and he like changes into that Viking look, saying "Let's kill him, Papa." You see him go to serious mode. Even in Thor Ragnarok, where you have moments where he's talking to his father when his father dies, you see him like tighten his hand together, and you see him talking to Loki in one scene, or that moment later on where he's realizing that he doesn't need the hammer, the powers inside of him. When he's talking to his father in that one scene later on. Like it has a like to me, Thor Ragnarok is one of the most darkest MCU movies, but at the same time, it never feels like it overdoes it with the comedy, in my opinion, and it's funny. And Thor still feels like serious and badass in that movie. And Thor: Love and Thunder is a really great example. I've talked about this in my past videos. When people say they just want directors to do whatever they want, I I don't agree with that all the time because there's examples where of movies where I felt like you should have talked to director and said this wasn't a good idea. You look at the Star Wars prequels. What do you hate, enjoy, or love on? One of the issues out with the Star Wars prequels is that yeah, George Lucas has a lot of great ideas in his head, but he is not the creators that White dialogue and when it came to White story and characters. So like somebody else should have like he had a lot of yes people around him in those prequels. Somebody should have said to him and go like, Jar Jar Binks is kind of a silly character. We could not, we could have like done a better job of White and Anakin. And he's even said he's not, he doesn't like to work with actors, and it shows in the performances and like Attack of the Clones too. We go to Rebel Moon movies. When it comes to Zack Snyder, I don't think he's a very good writer when he writes his own movies. A lot of his best movies were his earlier stuff that he didn't write. Like he's a great visual director when it comes to visuals, but I don't think he's really a strong writer when it comes to writing his own movies, story, dialogue, and character wise. And Thor: Love and Thunder is a really great example of that too, where it just felt like they let Taika Waititi loose in that movie and let him do whatever he wanted. He kept repeating jokes in that movie. I remember, like a good example of that is Thor Ragnarok when Thor was talking about his special relationship with his hammer. That's funny. It's one scene in Thor Ragnarok and it's funny. But in Thor: Love and Thunder, they actually showed the two hammers getting like his hammer getting jealous, the Stormbreaker, and they played on that and repeated that joke multiple times until Love and Thunder. And to me, that's a great example of a movie. Like I remember hearing a quote at the premiere of Thor: Love and Thunder when somebody asked Kevin Feige, "What type of genre is Thor: Love and Thunder?" He said, "This is a Taika Waititi film." And that movie is really a great example. Like the Star Wars prequels, like the Rebel movies, where letting the director do whatever they want is not always good. Sometimes you need people to tell the director this isn't a good idea, or somebody else, somebody else needs to work on the script instead of the director, or just like say this joke isn't really that funny. The whole point when you make a movie is that it takes a team to make a movie. But I definitely view Chris Hemsworth personally. Like I said, I think they took the character too much to the silly route, and I don't have a problem if you want to have a Thor movie, have fun. It can be done. Like I said, the first Thor and Thor Ragnarok did a great job with its comedy. Is a Thor: Love and Thunder was an example where they overdid it with the comedy. So hopefully, if Chris Hemsworth does another Thor movie, they nail that balance again. Because I definitely agree, like I said, that his character got way too silly and goofy in that movie. The next thing I want to talk about is the actress who played Wade Stevenson's apprentice in Ahsoka joined the cast of Megan 2. Now, when it comes to this casting decision, I think she's a good actress. This doesn't really make me any more excited for Megan 2 or less excited. Like I love the first Megan movie, so I'm always excited because I think the fact that you bring back those with two original characters and the first movie ends in a way where you could do a sequel, and I just love the first movie. So I'm always excited based on the fact how much I love the first movie. Like I said, when it comes to joining the cast, it's whatever for me. Like I think she was good in Ahsoka, but I haven't seen much of her like film career stuff she's done. Like she was in Pacific Rim Uprising, which I thought was terrible, and she played one of the two lead characters in that. So I thought she was fine in that movie. But I haven't seen too much of her like films to say whether this would like this to say whether this excites me or not, because it's just I haven't seen too much of a film work, so I can't really say her casting for this movie like makes me more excited or less excited for this movie based on the little stuff I've seen her in. But overall, I think she's a good addition. It just doesn't really move the needle either way for me when it comes to that casting. The next thing I want to talk about is there was a teaser put out for Questions on Infinite Part 3, the DC anime movie. Now, I thought the first two were terrible. The second one was even worse. But the thing that I'll admit has me interested is the fact that you see Mark Hamill's Joker and Kevin Conroy's Batman from Batman animated series. And I know there was rumors going around that Kevin Conroy did one more project after that Suicide Squad versus Justice League game. So I'm guessing this is his last project voicing wise. And look, the teaser didn't do anything for me, but that's also because I didn't like the first two movies, and even though it's cool to see those versions of the Joker and Batman again, I also am. It also doesn't make me excited because in Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 2, the second part of this DC animated trilogy, they had Taylor McGinnis as in the movie from Batman Beyond, who was the new Batman in Batman Beyond. They had his character in there, and he only had a few lines, and he was basically wasted. So I hope that they bring these characters in there actually serve a purpose, and are not just there for like cameo sake. Where it's like the Tam McGinnis Batman from Batman Beyond, where he has a few lines in Crisis on Infinite Part 2, but he really didn't need to be there. And just overall, I didn't like the first two movies, so this just doesn't personally excite me, this teaser, and with the quality of the first two, I just don't really feel all that excited by this either. I love the Batman animated series. Next topic I want to talk about is they have a director in talks for the next Exorcist movie. Because I know the studio, when they did Exorcist Believer, they announced a trilogy. And look, when it comes to Exorcist Believer, I'll admit, that movie's gone down on rewatches. Like the first time I saw it on advanced screen and before it came out for the world to see, I'll admit, I let this excitement get to my head. Because I remember saying on Facebook, I thought it was a great sequel to the original. But when I rewatched it the second time, I was like, okay, this is a mediocre thing. Like, I don't hate it like a lot. I don't hate it as much as everybody else does. Like, I still prefer it with SS 2 and 3. I know SS 3 is one of those movies that some people love, some people hate. But it definitely went down on rewatches. Like, to me, it's a mediocre movie to me now, and it's definitely nowhere near as great as the original. Like how I felt the first time I saw it. Again, not one of the worst movies either. But I also think you need a new director because the David, I think he's David Green Gordo was the name of the director who directed SS Believer. Like, that movie didn't do well critically, so I totally understand. I'm wanting to switch out a director, and I don't think it was really the right choice anyway because I enjoyed the 2018 Halloween movie, but I didn't love it. And Halloween Kills I think is watchable because it has some good kills, but it also has a lot of issues with that movie. And Halloween Ends, I think, was just terrible. Like, it went, it tried to do something different. It just didn't work for me, and it didn't work for a lot of people, I think. So I don't think it was really the right choice anyway to do a whole trilogy of Estes movies. But the reason this news excites me is because they're getting a director called Mike Flanagan, which I know I'm pronouncing his last name wrong. This director did two movies. He did a bunch of other movies, but two movies I know of his. He did Oculus, which I think was a fun horror movie. Not one of the best horror movies, but I thought it was fun. But most importantly, he did Doctor Sleep, which I love that movie. Like, I love that as much as I love The Shining. So I think he's just a fantastic choice based on the fact that Oculus I thought was a fun horror movie. Doctor Sleep I think is just fantastic and one of my favorite horror movies. So I haven't seen his other movies, but just based on those two, I think he's a great choice. And this makes me actually excited for the new Estes movie again. Because I'll be honest, like I said, believe it went down on rewatches. I kind of felt like less excited now, and I hope this is an Estes movie that actually lives up to the original, where it's great on rewatches too. So, but I think overall he's a great choice. They're saying, I think the report is saying he's in final talks, so I hopefully he gets he gets the job because I think based on just Doctor Sleep, he would be a fantastic choice. The next thing is that it was announced that there's going to be a Mickey versus Winnie the Pooh movie. There's a poster put out where you see Mickey and Winnie the Pooh, like hall versions of the characters. It's not related to the Pooh verse, though. Just let everybody know this is not connected to that Pooh verse. It's his own thing. But there was a poster put out where you see Winnie the Pooh, and Mickey on top of the poster with a character in the middle of the poster. The poster was cool. I'll say this: go check out the poster for Mickey versus Winnie the Pooh. But I'll be honest, I don't have any excitement for this movie. It just, you know, maybe the trailer when they put out the first trailer, like I'll be interested, but I just don't really care for this whole idea of like taking these characters that are in public domain and making them like horror slash characters. I also feel like you could do side like I feel like you could do something else. Like I feel like everything now seems to be let's just make a horror low budget cheaply made slasher movie. And I feel like why don't you try to do a different genre too at times if you're gonna do these public domain characters, do these characters that are in public domain right now. And if it's like the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey movie with a meme one movie, which was a horror slash version of Grinch, then I just definitely don't have any interest in this. So yeah, I just don't have any interest in this movie personally, and I just like I said, doing these characters out in public domain. I wish they would do something other than just horror slasher versions of these movies, and I don't know, do a different genre. But overall, this announcement, I have zero excitement for this Mickey versus Winnie the Pooh movie. So that's all the movie needs to say. Until next time, movie fans.